Good evening and welcome to BJC Mitzvah A, number 151, part 4. Using the Sefer Hachinuch, a Mitzvah A keeps your soul on its way. I know it's so late, I'm sorry. Listen, just got back last night. I'm not myself yet. Here we go. Continuing the Mitzvah of Kohanim not to leave the temple during the Avodah. Among the underlying purposes of this Mitzvah is the fundamental premise that we have established regarding the importance of elevating the temple and the services that are performed there. Therefore, it is surely fitting that one not leave the temple and thus abandon the precious Avodah for any reason at all. For indeed, if the Kohanim were to abandon the Avodah, the service, for any reason, that would be a degradation of the Avodah, as they would demonstrate with their actions that there is something more important in the world than the service of Hashem, as the Avodah can be deferred even temporarily in favor of some other matter. Thus, because leaving the temple during the Avodah is a degradation of the temple, the Kohanim were enjoined against doing so under pain of death at the hands of heaven. The laws of this mitzvah include, for example, that which the sages of blessed memory said, that although an ordinary Kohen is not permitted to leave the temple during the Avodah, as it is stated, do not leave the entrance of the tent of meeting lest you die. Nevertheless, if a relative over whom he is required to mourn dies, he may not perform the Avodah. For then he is deemed an onain, as we learned before, and an ordinary Kohen who is an onain is prohibited from performing Avodah, the service. Yet although he may not perform Avodah, he is enjoined to refrain from leaving the temple until the Avodah in which he had been engaged is completed. This is due to the reason we have stated, namely, it is out of respect for the matter of the Avodah, so that it not seem as though he is engaged in temporal matters. The Kohen Gadol, the high priest, is subject to a greater stringency than the ordinary Kohen, as he is obligated to both refrain from leaving the temple and also to entirely refrain from setting aside his Avodah on account of being an onain, unlike a regular Kohen who can deal with his lost relatives. But a Kohen Gadol cannot. For as explained previously with regard to the Kohen Gadol, the high priest, it is stated, he shall not leave the sanctuary and he shall not desecrate, etc. An explanation of this verse was transmitted by the sages that it means to say that if his immediate relative dies, he shall not leave the sanctuary, but rather should continue performing the Avodah in which he is engaged, as his Avodah does not become desecrated on account of his being an onain. These and the remaining details of this mitzvah are explained in Tractate Zvachim, and again, the source for that was Aaron when he lost his sons Nadav and Avihu. This mitzvah applies during the time of the temple to male Kohanim. If one transgresses this mitzvah by leaving the temple during the Avodah, he incurs Malchus lashes. Baruch Hashem, we finished this mitzvah. Thanks for listening. To sponsor a future mitzvah. Tomorrow starting a new mitzvah, $36, $100 the gold. Take advantage. Bargain. Schlios. Merits. Helping the Bella Jewish Center and getting this chus that your tzedakah goes towards a new mitzvah. I would grab it. Have a good night.